Nearly any plan would work, except
What?
the problem with us is this.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the integration that did us the work, the dirtiest,
Mm-hmm.
was was this one. It was the integration of a value system that don't belong to us. It was this.
Mm.
This. This is our problem.
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
have no spirituality. If all of you who are viewing, look at this chart. The bottom rung is spiritual. And in the lost value system, there's no truth, not operating in any form of truth. At the
Mm.
top is wealth. And on the other side in yellow, you see no detachment. Can't detach from whatever our concept is of wealth nowadays. How we think of the internal values with very little regard. We don't really regard. We, along with everything that happened with us and all of the agendas we adopted those agendas.
Yeah.
One reason, because we gave up our spirituality and the truth of that. Since we could not abide in the truth, when you don't abide in the truth, you accept lies.
Mm-hmm.
All manner of lies, all kinds of lies, no matter who tell you the lie, or where it comes from, or what the end result of that lie is going to be. We followed suit. And I remember when this happened, when there was a big push for speaking out against religion and spirituality, speaking out against Christianity, speaking out against Islam, speaking out against all of it as antiquated. I remember when they came out with that documentary, it took everybody storm, the Zeitgeist. And that first one was about poking holes in all of your religious or spiritual belief systems. That conversation was being had in the light of, you are backwards and antiquated as an individual and not progressive as an individual if you held on to these ancient belief systems that don't have any bearing on the modern world anymore. We don't live back there anymore. You know, where people would believe anything because they didn't know about science and they didn't understand anything about the world, and they didn't understand anything. We have so little regard for the intelligence of ancient societies, right?
Yeah.
But that was handed to us. And and we took that on. And we Black people started saying, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't really believe in God, you know. And I'm like, I clutched my imaginary pearls at that time. And the reason that I did that is because in my mind, I was like, even if I don't agree with your spiritual system and what you choose to believe, there has to be something. You gotta have something. You can't just not have nothing.
Yeah.
Because once there's nothing and you replace that with, thank you for the word, cynical, secularism. Once you replace that with, now you're dependent upon mainstream media outlets, any
Culture.
trend, any societal or cultural shift to dictate to you now what's right and wrong, what's legal and illegal, what's a good moral compass, what isn't, you know what I'm saying? And all of those sorts of things. Case in point, when we go back to the LGBT agenda concept, you're a bad person. It's morally wrong if you think that biologically a man can't be a woman and a woman can't be a man. Now there's something wrong with you. You're morally corrupt. Not
if you don't believe that,
disagree with it. You're morally corrupt. It's those kinds of things. And I'm sorry, I got a chart for everything. I'm gonna land. Why do we do this to each other? 1 hour. We know we're gonna talk. Anyway, but we're going back to when I break down biology, culture, and environment. When we talk about capitalism, that's environment. The use of the institution to spur a change that's going to affect us culturally and biologically. It is my opinion that every time a bioculturon is achieved through environment first and working backwards towards biology, a bad value system is produced. If we work
Mhm.
towards from biology to environment, a good value system is produced. This is why our
Mm.
movements were always cut short, because we started with biology always and culture. We
Okay.
would have a handle on biology and culture, who we were culturally. We would get that identity solidified. The problem that we would have in this country was the environmental change.
Yeah.
How do we get or seize or wrest control of the institutions? And see, that's when they started destroying us, because when we would get that, again, the institution, our educational institution, health institutions, all of those are institutions.
Mhm.
How to educate ourselves, how to do all of that. Once we said, that's when they would cut the head off the snake, because
Mhm.
that produces that how can I say it? Because I'm my mouth is running faster than my brain. We were shifting away from the value system they gave us to the one we needed to be in.
Yeah.
And every time we would actively do that, that is
Mhm.
where that vitriol came from.
Mhm.
Not to get clouded by, oh, they were just racist. It's deeper than that. It's
Oh, yeah.
more than that. It's more than that. It is, we can't have an entire subsection of people that don't integrate here with what we're trying to do, because if they're not integrated here, what we do doesn't work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work on them.
So two things. One, that chart was great to see visually in terms of the key sections that we have to reevaluate and refocus on if we want to see anything improve. There's two people or two groups currently that I think we need to take a strong look at. Burkina Faso,
Okay.
uh, over in Africa, and how they literally, the government and the people literally took over control of their resources that was being extracted to foreign powers, and the Amish here in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
and realizing that those two things that have been happening and are currently happening in modern times is lessons that I think we need to start to take seriously, and start potentially implementing very, very, very quickly. Now, what you're saying in terms of the biological component, the spiritual component, the cultural component, and the environmental component, although everybody may have difference of opinions about the starting point, the reason why I'm choosing to engage in this type of stuff right now is I actually do think it starts with the individual. Right? Now, with the individual, my viewpoint is there needs to be a radical shift in terms of the mindset of the precarious nature of how bad things are, where they're heading, and what's next for us if we don't do something different. And I'm telling us, I'm basically saying 2030 is the magic number everybody keeps talking about, but I'm basically saying 10 years. You have 10 years to be in a radically different situation individually to be able to have options collectively. If you as an individual do not do what you need to do individually, get out of debt, to build up your resources, to be allowed and able to relocate, and the potential option of potentially being able to leave this country in the next 10 years, you are going to be at the mercy of whatever's here on the other side of that. So for me, let's say 2030 is the magic number where most things gets fully digitized and physical currency is no longer an option. And then the World Health Economic Forum and all, and then now they can dictate what we can eat, where we can travel, wanting us to get off of gas cars. Who knows to the degree of what the stuff is going to happen individually. You all know where you are versus where you should be with your women, with your men, with your lifestyle, with your money, with your community or lack thereof. My view is we need to become readers again very quickly. We need to start finding like-minded people both digitally and virtually, as well as in real life. And we need to start small. Each of us knows there's things we could be doing, could be learning, and we're choosing to spend all our time on TikTok on Instagram, always in other people's business. We get lost in drama. My view and my lenses is like I've gotten to a place or point where I'm reading so much and learning so much, and I'm so hungry for knowledge right now, not just for the sake of having it, but because I have various plans in my head about what we're going to do in my household and what we're going to do with the handful of people that I think is moving in the same or similar direction. I don't have, like you said when we last talked, and you talked about how everybody not going to come with us. Everybody not going to make it. So I'm going to just call it the new Black Renaissance. Intellectually, spiritually, politically, I think that there's going to be a major shift over the next 4 to 8 years, where there's going to be a divide between the blacks and the Black Americans, whatever y'all want to self-identify currently. I think there's going to be a divide between those that starting to be more free thinking, open, revolutionary, wanting to grow, wanting to mature, and those that want to continue status quo. And they're going to listen to the boule and those at the top, the famous Black politicians and Black celebrities that say, this is how we need to move, and this is how we need to vote. And we need, even if our situation ain't changing, it can always get worse. Like, you're going to have that group, and you're going to have those of us that's like, all right, we're in a system that's not kind to us. And we have to very quickly figure out, both individually and collectively, for those that want to, how we can put ourselves in a position where we're more independent, more self-sufficient. And if we up and do need to relocate, what are those locations we can go to, both here domestically and abroad? Any other options? Of course, people can have a whole host of things. My view is, if you're not thinking that way, you need to very soon.